Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for having me. So a little background. You may hear my name, Vaughn Granger, or LV, short for Little Vaughn. I'm a junior, but don't call me junior. And I'm not too little anymore. So a little bit about me. Born and raised on a horse farm, high work ethic, family business. Succinct, y'all can hear me? Everybody good? Let's see, graduated at Carolina in 2005. I applied to 3 schools, USC, Furman, and Davidson. Davidson told me that I might have a chance to walk on in baseball. Furman told me don't waste my time even trying to come to school. And Carolina paid me, so it was an easy decision. I had about a 6-month living expense that my parents set me up with. 2 weeks in, that money was gone. So I was like, well, damn, now I got to get a job. So I've been in the clothing business all of my life. I've been working at least 1, if not 3 different gigs since 2001. So I love sales. By default, that's how I made my initial money. So understanding human psychology, what motivates people, I love that. Studying human behavior is really cool. In fact, just a show of hands, who's been in the group for more than a year or 2 in Columbia? All right, so y'all get to see Andrew and Michelle. When I first saw him, he was managing a hotel and she was working in an insurance company. And Andrew was working 6-7 nights a week, and I got to watch him progress. And I don't think he'll mind me share this. I even, talking about loaning money and other people's money, I actually loaned Andrew money on a deal. Didn't even know how to do that. Like, I just gave him cash, and he showed me his financials. But anyway, to see them build a life beyond working for somebody else, time away from their families, really inspiring. It's just super cool to see. And y'all get to see them kind of as they have arrived. I got to see them really during the process from going from I remember eating, I think it was at Cantina's, eating chips, asking Andrew, I was trying to recruit him to come work with us, and it turned out he was making some pretty decent money at the hotel. And I was like, well, you keep doing you, buddy. And then he left that to go do this. So, I mean, it's been really inspiring. I play the game cash flow. I love it. Understanding how to be, freedom is my big thing, right? To go back to what Andrew said, I believe we're all created in God's image. God's not tiny. We weren't meant to be small. So everything I'm about is about confidence, freedom, success on your terms. I have 3 kids, married to my high school sweetheart. Like, entrepreneurism, like that's your freedom, in my opinion. You don't have to depend on anyone else. So everything that I talk to specifically is winning on your terms. And that may look different for me than it does for Andrew, whatever. But every day when you look in the mirror, you want to be proud of who you've become. Some of y'all, I'll do better by bullets, otherwise I'll get real squirmy and nervous. So being comfortable with who you are is really important. Number 1, some of y'all may be thinking about doing a deal or getting into business, and you don't know how to start, or you hadn't started. And you see somebody like Andrew talking about an office building that he's bought with other people's money. You're like, damn, that's really cool, but I can't do that. That's a real thing. Some of y'all have started, and you might be doing it slower than you like to. Probate court. I think you're in probate court on a deal. First time, right? FFT, freaking first time. That's the edited version. We're learning, right? Number 3, you're running, hitting your stride. And then the 4th is where, 10 times, and you see it all the time, this is not about hustle and grind. This is about chasing what you're passionate about and going through the journey. I'm real big. One of the things I wrote down here is time folding, right? So you come into a group like this, and it took me, golly, I think I hired my first assistant. So nobody in the clothing business has an assistant. And I hired a coach, and they said, you need to hire an assistant. I was like, well, I can't afford an assistant. And they said, yes, you can't afford it. And they did the math, and they're like, you can't afford not to have an assistant. So I hired one. Everybody's like, what are you doing? And I realized, man, I should hire a coach and be around people and mentors that have already done what I want to do, because like that took me 10 years. Like, I can tell somebody how to do it and then go out year one and do it. There's no reason to waste precious time, which is the one thing you don't have. So kudos to y'all for coming in, listening to people like Andrew. I might be overrated, but networking and just modeling. You know, success leaves clues. So I'm a real big advocate of that. I mean, the formal education system, I'm not gonna go on an elaborate deal. Dude, my time at Carolina was a waste of time aside from me learning how to drink a lot. But like, this is where people learn. This is where changes take place, you know? So it's really cool to see it. But this concept that we have, my wife had emergency surgery on her pancreas, had it removed, or most of it, and her spleen after they found a tumor that had to get removed. Now, I always viewed my wife as like, I'm going to be the one that dies, right? Not my wife. But realizing that how fragile or how short or unexpected all this can end, like there needs to be a sense of urgency. We waste a lot of time. I still waste a lot of time. So stay around racehorses. Be real careful about who you're spending time with. They give you courage. I mean, to hear y'all talk about certain things, I mean, like talking about business deals and things like that, it's very inspiring. So be real careful of that. I think that's enough said on that. But, oh, by the way, he said to ask questions. Love crowd interaction. If y'all want me to stop, elaborate, questions, whatever, jump in, yell at me. I don't always look up. But anyway, so that's who I am. I've been coined a personal brand coach. I don't really know what that means to everybody else, but it was kind of interesting. Andrew was talking about websites, and I deal in fashion. Everything I do has to do with confidence and the way people see you. 50 Cent was in he said one time, give the people what the people expect to see. There is a certain amount of, I'm not gonna call it fake it till you make it, but having enough confidence in yourself that you can crush it and presenting yourself, whether it's in negotiations, whether it's standing at the front of a stage, whether it's going to and calling somebody about a piece of property, whatever it is, like you have to believe in yourself when nobody else does. And to me, personal branding, confidence, all that goes hand in hand. The other cool thing about it is, you know, I have a lot of employees at this point, and I try to teach all of them, look, you are your own business. Everybody in here, if you look at your household income, that's a company, especially if you're married. I mean, that's a lot. If you don't understand money, you better start studying. People, I think, belittle how important it is to understand business because you've got cash flow coming into your house, even if you're just collecting 1 or 2 paychecks. That's money that you need to learn how to manage, how to prepare for bad times, how to reinvest it. So take ownership in who you are and what you are. And I don't care if you're selling insurance, building houses, flipping houses, selling clothes. If you create an audience and people trust you and you've shown that you can consistently show up time and time again, then all of a sudden they don't have to look at your financials. They don't have to ask for your money on reserve. There's a lot in that consistency that I think is really key that a lot of people don't talk about, but you can change careers. You know, I wrote down here and/or. Interesting little story. I got approached by a good friend of mine that here in town, great businessman. He said, Vaughn, I want to partner up with you, but not your other 2 partners, because I have 2 partners at Granger. I'm a third equal partner. I'll never do that again, that I have to work. I'm way too controlling. But he approached me and he said, hey, I want to open up like 15 men's stores. And he had all the financial backing to do it. Deal fell through. I was like, damn. And it sat with me for like 6 months. I was like, wait a minute, I want to do this. But the reason the deal didn't work is because I couldn't leave my family operation. Family's a big deal for me. Didn't feel comfortable doing it. And I was playing this game of or. Like, I could have this or I could have this. And so what I did is I said, wait a minute, let me create a situation where I can have both. And I started playing this game of and. And so when we talk about personal brands and relationships and trust and confidence, start playing the and equation versus the or equation. I mean, in negotiations, you know, I stand firm in meeting them where they are. Like Andrew walked into that deal and created a win-win situation, a win for him and his company and a win for the people trying to sell it. And understanding where people are, I don't do real estate deals, but I do business deals. I love sitting down and figuring out what's important to the other side of the table. So I have my chair over there with them, and then figuring out how to hit my terms and theirs, and I can close deals a lot quicker than most other people. I just got done Victory. I had a grand opening down in Mount Pleasant. I started a company, the other clothing company is called Liam John. First scariest thing I've ever did in my entire life was have a third child. I thought I was done after 2. His name's Liam John. Second scariest thing I ever did was start a business, like a real big inventory heavy business on my own. So I called that Liam John 2, or as well, I should say. But like in that deal, people, because of relationships I had at Granger Owens, I was able to negotiate terminating a lease because this guy wanted to buy the building from that I was in. So he had to terminate my lease early, which I negotiated because I knew he really wanted the building, and I really wanted out of my lease, but he didn't know that. He paid me to get out of the lease, a lot of money. Then I negotiated another deal with my new landlord where I got great upfitting dollars. And so basically I moved into a $250,000 brand new 1,500 square foot space with the inventory and everything else, and I ain't got a dime in it, and nobody knows it, but it's because I sat down, and right here, the strategy, the thinking about it, you can structure it so you're not doing the heavy lifting. And I think that's where most people, the other thing about time folding is leveraging other people's talents and skills. When you go on the sponsors and you look at the people that you can partner with, and that's the other nice thing about a group like this, you got people in here that are all vested in each other's success. Partner up with your strengths. Get rid of your weaknesses. Like, I don't like to focus on my weaknesses. I'd rather do what I'm good at. And then partner up and let everybody do what they're really awesome at, and then and you can move faster and better. So the idea of other people's money is real. I didn't believe it. When he showed me how it worked, I was like, dang, this is cool. I use it in my business all the time, and like my clients pay for my growth all the time. I created, when I started Liam John, actually was like, man, I started it on a credit card. I think I had $15,000 limit on it, and I started a $1 million company within the first 2 years because I let my clients pay for my goods. Like, I sold it to them, they paid me in full, and then I'd order it, and then I had 90 days to pay for it. So they cash flowed my entire growth model. Now, I wasn't very good at accounting, so I spent it as fast as I made it, but I got a good accountant now. So the idea of other people's money is a real thing. That collapses time. We're not promised more time. This concept of personal branding and confidence, I think, is huge. I came up with this, all right, so well, that's not true. I tore my meniscus. I just had knee surgery about 8 weeks ago, and I just got back to jiu-jitsu, so I like to fight. But prior to that, I was kind of a haphazard athlete, but I love the idea of a game, right? So you think about athletes and people that play games, like, you can't stay undefeated. It's impossible. And I think one of the biggest things that keep people from starting is they're afraid to make a mistake. But DJ Ungalugala, whatever, up in Clemson, that dude is making mistakes left and right, but he's out there at midnight passing, throwing passes. Now, he might have known the cameras were watching, and I don't know where his receivers were, but nonetheless, the dude is out there playing the game. NFL athletes are making massive amounts of money, and somebody always loses. So I came up with this little acronym called the GAME, and I play it every day. But the GAME is just about growth. So the G stands for growth. The A stands for athlete. There are 2 pieces to any athlete, and you look at these guys. Somebody in the NFL is just, or the Olympics, I just kind of like geek out on them. You have 2 pieces to be an athlete. The first is the physical. The second is the mental. So every single day in the game of growth, I need to do 2 things as it relates to being an athlete. First thing I have to do is I have to move my body, right? So like if we're gonna run hard, if you're working on a side hustle, if you want to chase kids, whatever you do, you gotta have energy. So every single day I make myself move. Now that might be me walking down the street for 45 minutes. Most recently I did a 30-day self-induced challenge. I had to work out outside for 30 minutes with a stupid weight vest. Whether it rained, sleet, shine, it didn't matter how hot it was. But every day I move, and every day I either meditate or read scripture, one of the two. But for me, being an athlete, those two things right there, I do that before I leave the door, before the day catches me. That one piece alone has been an absolute game changer. I can handle more pressure. I'm more creative. I have more fun with things. I'm more loving to my kids and wife and children. I still make mistakes, don't get me wrong. Made one last night, my daughter told me. But that's what the A stands for. The M is like get paid every single day. Now what does that mean? Like I'm real big on having the Sabbath holy, right? So I rest on the Sabbath. But that could be me sending someone a message. That could be me marketing. That could be me reading something. Anything that I know is going to eventually bring me money. And I can do that 365 days out of the year. I can do it with this wonderful little device in my pocket. Social media, I use it to make money all the time. LinkedIn, prospecting, referrals, introducing people, connecting people. Like I'm a conduit. I built a huge network. That's what I love doing, introducing, helping out. Eventually it comes back somehow. And I never do it to keep score, but that M piece is you gotta make money every single day, especially once you hit the 3 and 4 stage where you're running, you're 10Xing, it's a little bit more natural, I think. But if you're thinking about starting, like you gotta do it every day. It's a muscle. You just gotta get used to working it. It doesn't matter where you are. You're selling t-shirts, anybody follow Lions Not Sheep? It's a t-shirt company. Y'all need to check them out. Real quick, everybody pull out their cell phones. 2 people you need to follow. You need to follow me on Instagram, at Vaughn Granger. That's VAUGHN The second one you need to check out is Lions Not Sheep. Now, you're gonna see a lot of patriotic t-shirts. In 18 months, this dude named Sean Whalen, he just made a t-shirt last month. They show you if you start figuring out who's in his company, they did over $1 million in t-shirt sales last month. 18 months ago he started. Social media. It's absolutely incredible. He's making money every single day. And he's super cool to watch. His name's Sean Whalen. He's a little intense sometimes. I'm not saying what he's saying, I'm just saying. Then E, this is the other cool one too, right? So E stands for engage. Relationships, your loved ones. Upstream, downstream, side stream, business relationships, whatever it is. The thought of engaging your relationships, what does that mean? So like, I used to be real bad. I'd take my wife out on a date and assume that meant some fun things were gonna happen later. Like, it was more like a barter system. That's not really giving anything, right? So what engaging means is reaching out to someone without the expectation that they have to respond in order for you to do your part. This is really powerful. I have mended broken relationships because I told them how much I appreciated them, how much I respect them, how grateful I was, period, with no expectation for a response back. I do this with my wife. I do it with my tomorrow 13-year-old daughter. I sent her an email today. She said something to me yesterday that just really pissed me off. But she said I wasn't being approachable, and it set me back for a minute. Then this morning I was like, dang, she's right. So I sent her an email, which is kind of weird. But I sent her an email, and I said, Callie, I really appreciate what you said. You know, this is being a parent. You're in the position of a leadership, possibly. You either do a good job or a bad job. But if I'm closed-minded and I think that I'm perfect, I'm not going to really grow. And if I'm not approachable, people aren't going to listen, whether it's with my 13-year-old daughter, my wife, or you guys. And I just told her I appreciated her. Now, she could have not replied back, and I don't need to let that dictate whether I was successful in my relationship that day or not, because I did what I was supposed to do. Now, cool part about it, she emailed me back. She said, Daddy, thank you so much. I love you. Thank you for listening. I say that, y'all. This game, so growth, being an athlete, physical, mental, getting paid every day, and engaging in relationships. Like, that's I came up with that because I'm simple and I got to do bullets or whatever, as opposed to big, beautiful presentation. But I say that if you start playing the game every single day, you string together these 4 wins every day of the week. And if you won't let your head hit the pillow without finishing it, and better yet, if you can do this before you leave the house by 8, it doesn't matter what comes down the pipe at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, it's really incredible. This is fun. But the reason I came up with this is you are the limiting factor in your life, period. It's not the economy. It's not your boss. It's not the system. It's not that Facebook shut down. It's none of that. We have 100% responsibility. And I like owning my future. So I'm going to pause here for just a second. Any questions for anything? Yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking about those 4 things on the side, like 4 stages. You talked about
Yeah.
stages. You said something that kind of struck a chord with me. You said that you kind of started, but things may not be moving as fast as you wanted to.
Yep.
When you were in that stage,
Earlier today.
How did you overcome those obstacles when you were feeling that way? And it could have been just a feeling.
Yeah.
But as you said with the GAME mental, what did you do to help yourself overcome that?
So I have a belief that life happens for us, not to us, right? So everything is happening for a reason. In my testimony, when I really became a follower of Jesus, like I wasn't ready. And there was some really weird shit, that took place in my life that really, it was uncomfortable. Only through those trials and tribulations did I get to a point where I couldn't do anything. The reason I bring that up, sometimes because I love to move fast, man, like I want 100X. I won't miss the turn, but I'm going to go real fast doing it. When I find myself getting real frustrated, whether things aren't progressing or whatever, I typically, when frustration is my secret weapon, like a little tap on my shoulder, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm either comparing myself to somebody else. I need to stop and look around for an opportunity to change. So sometimes I might be I'm committed to the result, but a lot of times I get committed to the plan. I had a Ranger one time. This dude was he was baller. 17-time deployed Ranger. And he and I were talking one day. He said, Vaughn, let me ask you something. You get your troops and you land. You're supposed to go over this mountain. And you're supposed to be there in 3 days. And you're going to go attack at that point. He said, you guys land. And these are some bad dudes. They land. They're exhausted. And you got 2 choices. You can still get to the destination, but it's going to be a day later. And you guys will be fresh and they'll be able to stay alive. Or you can make them hike over the mountain because that's your plan. Get there on time and die either on the trek or once they get there because they're done. Which one are you committed to, the plan or the result? So the result piece for me is key. The lessons learned, whether it's through probate court or in my deal, I started Liam John. There was some stuff going on. I told you I couldn't manage. There was a lot of cash coming in. It was awesome. But I had a $60,000 accounting mistake that I didn't even know existed. That hurt. I mean, it stung. I'm sitting there going, well, I don't have the 60. I already spent it. And then I was like, wait a minute, I got to figure this out. Now I will not make that mistake again. So when I feel slow, I look around for that. Or maybe some other things have got to get lined up before I can move. And that's where you have to have faith, I think, to answer your question, and just be comfortable with that. And then sometimes it's just you pursuing the wrong things. I do that. I do it with, you got a teenage daughter, you do it. You're just I'm going to fight this battle. It's wow. It's just do you really want it? What's it going to do? What's the meaning behind why you're chasing it? Because a lot of times we're spending energy, time, and money and focus on stuff that really ain't going to move the needle. The guys are the people that I see that are hitting 3s and 4s, And anytime you start anything new, you're not going to be good at it. I mean, kids can't walk the first time. But the guys that are doing 3 and 4, they don't have more hours in the day. They're paying attention to the right activities that are really going to make progress take place. And I think that's something, I've done a lot of tests recently, personality tests to become a better leader. And there's this guy named Dan Sullivan, and they have this thing called unique ability. And I'm a high visionary guy. I love building and creating things. I hate managing. And so partnering up with other people that are great at that and being okay saying, hey, look, I mean, just like Andrew did it, it's an easy example. Him and Michelle are so different. You know, Andrew's like up here talking. Michelle's not up here talking. She can't talk. She can do it well. But Andrew loves being up here teaching. He loves to put the deal together. But guess what? He's not going to respond to a text message or phone call. I mean, I called him 17 times to get details about what the heck I was supposed to do. Holland's very good at it. So I say that, like, the guys that are doing it, Andrew's become comfortable saying, I'm not good at that. And again, going back to the school system, like, you know, we were supposed to all be good at all these different courses and things, and we kind of got trained like the little elephant on the stake. It's like, hey, look, we're going to box you in. You got to be good at all this stuff. And it's like, no, I don't have to be good. I just need to recognize what I'm good at. I need to be aware of what I'm not and find me someone that's really good at that. And I think that's one of the keys not to stall out at 1 and 2. Any other questions? That's a great question. Yes?
Academic growth. All I wrote down was growth.
That's all it is, period. So here's the deal, like constant, never ceasing growth. If we always, like, I have my parents, I love my parents, work with my parents. It's interesting, they're starting to hit the age where they thought they were supposed to retire by now. Well, they don't really want to retire, but they thought it was going to get easier. But now they got grandkids. Like, life is never really going to get easy. And if you ever say, well, I'm just going to get to this destination and stop, like, you can see that's where people age real fast. That's where they get real frustrated. If you play the game of growth, you realize you're always going to be growing. You're always going to be slightly uncomfortable, whether it's, you know, like not having kids to having a kid to then having a teenager. Like, if you think about, hey, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to have it all figured out. And like you asked, you know, how do you stay out of 1 and 2? I go back to 1 and 2 every day. And in fact, quite frankly, 2 years ago, I was absolutely petrified. You wouldn't see me dead. Well, you'd see me dead if I were up here. I'd have had a heart attack. When COVID started, I started coaching people, businessmen, or predominantly men, but business people and salespeople, because everybody owns their own business at that point, right? And I started coaching them, and I was like, wait a minute, I need to be able to get better on video. Well, I was on TV last week because every day I had to post and record my video because I was afraid of a stupid little iPhone. But it made me very uncomfortable. So the idea of growth is like, if the world ain't giving me uncomfortableness and growth, then I want to give it to myself on my terms and being clear about what I want. You know, having something that, it's just, for me, it keeps me from thinking I should be somewhere by now or have this or that. I mean, especially with social media. I mean, you show me a couple Lamborghinis, man, I think I should have a Lamborghini, a 10-car garage, a couple different houses, and flying private everywhere. Still want to get there, but like, it's a journey. And if you, I had a Tony Robbins coach. He was like, Vaughn, you keep talking about like this goal as a destination. Like, legitimately, you think about a wedding. I mean, a wedding lasts for a moment. It's the journey into the wedding and the journey outside of the wedding where all the beauty is. It's not that set destination of getting it. I mean, y'all see it in projects. Like, you do a project, you want to do a next one. You know, you push yourself physically. I mean, that's the cool thing about it. You know, you take the A part about it and you take the body. I mean, I don't care where you are in the spectrum, you want to get better at things. So again, you didn't miss it. I just said growth. And that's the other cool thing. It's your definition, not mine. And that's something, especially over the last 2 years, it's like, there was a certain level of income growing up. Like money was good to a point. And then after that, like it, they must have cheated to get there or something. Or whatever false stories around that. And so for me, it's getting comfortable with what I want. That may be different. Again, I told you family is important. That's different than maybe what my parents think I should have. But like, they're my terms. And I've never had anyone set goals that were higher than my own for myself. But for me, it was getting comfortable saying I own what I want. And so it's just sitting and taking some time. I mean, it's kind of weird, but I mean, it felt weird for me in the beginning. It's like go out into the wilderness and just sit with a notebook sometimes and just dream. Like just get away for a little bit. And then the next piece is you can't stay at one. You can't just sit there and think. You got to start moving, whether it's coming to a meeting like this, introducing, calling a stranger, getting up on stage. So that's the deal. Any other questions at this point? So many things. I told Andrew I was not going to let y'all glaze over, so we want this to be fun. I love sales. Sales happen in everything that we do, right? So this guy right here, I nicknamed it, my kids laughed, I called it Vaughn's Moneymaker. So when it pops up on the truck, that's what this is right here. This is my office. Everything I do is either connecting with you all on a one-on-one basis or connecting to people on social media. There's a couple guys, if you follow that Sean Whalen guy, he's running with some big dogs, Mark Evans, whatever. Here's the coolest thing, y'all. I go on Instagram and I find people that are like up there. You slide into their DM. You slide into the DM and you have a decent conversation with them, which means basically just don't be a creep that tries to sell them something right out the gates, and have an authentic conversation. And you literally are text messaging with whoever it is without a gatekeeper, super easy access, and most of those individuals are managing their own private messages, because after you start talking to them, you start to figure out that it's them. Y'all, it's so easy to get access to damn near just about anybody that you'd like to. And if you take the word sales out of it, so like I'm not trying to sell you a suit, but I do want to create and build bond and rapport and trust, most importantly. And how do we do that? If we go back to the game method, we go back to engage specifically. The number one thing that everybody hates, Andrew probably was a victim of this. He needs to buy clothes because I need a commission check. It comes into play every now and then. That's not where we win. So engaging is all about adding value and pouring into people. And that's what sales are all about. So I forget the gentleman's name that has a property for sale. And you listed him. So he's got some land up. Oddly enough, I'm thinking about maybe selling my house, moving out to the country, building me a little house. Well, that's Andrew, or whatever that arrangement is, adding value to that gentleman. There he is. What's your first name? Bishop. So other thing is he's bringing a group of people together, so he's adding value to y'all's life. Now, Andrew could not know a damn thing about real estate. I don't think he'd be up here. But y'all would assume that he does because he's here and he put y'all together. Y'all all have your own circles of influences right around you. So I like to challenge people. I'm going to get off camera for just a second. So there's a couple things that I'm going to challenge y'all. Y'all, are we good on time? All right. So the first challenge that I'm going to do for each of y'all is they tell me not to go that way. Is I want you to hold your own networking event where you are the expert. Now, what does that look like? What did you get all some googly-eyed for?
I was trying to figure out who you were saying that to.
Nah, see, now you definitely have to do it. There might be a free suit involved, you never know. All right, what does this look like? It means you invite 5, what's your expertise? What are you the absolute best at than the average Joe Bear at doing?
Talking.
About what specifically?
There's an air purification system that we market.
Okay.
It's
And why is that important?
it's become important because I've seen the effect that it has with helping people.
How?
It's the leading thing in fighting against COVID right now.
Really?
Yes.
Who do you think cares about hearing that?
Probably everyone that breathes.
All right. So here's the deal. You can go cold. You make money. Do you sell this?
Yes.
All right. So you make money.
Yes.
All right. So we're going back to the M in game. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the E. You can go cold call individual house owners, whatever. Or you can get the presidents or whatever, a couple different homeowners associations. You say, hey, look, I'm going to host an event, do a light cocktail, whatever. And I'd just like to share with you some stuff that I've come to realize about air purification and the effects on COVID. You could do the same thing for nursing homes, elder assisted care, whatever you want to call it. And you could present to them as the expert on air purification systems. Now, I don't know much about air purification systems, but I damn sure would like to hear something about it because I don't want my elderly parents to get sick with COVID. That is a very easy networking event. It's also very smart because you're going what I like to call upstream, right? So I can call Andrew and I can talk to Andrew about clothes. I can talk to you about clothes. I can talk to this gentleman right here in the front row about clothes. Or I can come up here and I can talk to all y'all about clothes. It goes back to the folding of time. People don't think that they can get upstage and do what Andrew does. Y'all probably can think what you do what I do because the bar's kind of low. But get yourself uncomfortable. It goes back to the growth that we were talking about. Like most people, if one person out of this group did it, I'd be surprised. But this right here is how you get to 3 and 4. Like hands down, it works. Well, I won't pick on Andrew anymore. That's the first thing that I would do. Who's really going to do it? Let me ask you that. Or who else would? Oh, yeah. How you gonna do it?
Well, I have like a movie night, family night.
Yep.
Planned for November. I've done a Secret of My Own fun run where I just sponsored it.
Yep. What do you sell or promote, or what are you an expert about?
Real estate,
All right. Specifically, what kind?
residential,
Buying or selling or both?
listings is my passion.
Okay. You ever coach people on how to have more listings?
No, I need a coach.
Say that again?
I need a coach.
No, but have you ever coached anyone on how to get more listings?
No.
All right. Do you think that you can make money coaching people on how to get more listings? Because you're good at it, right?
Once I learn from Andrew all the tricks, then yes.
All right, so what you do is you go into a neighborhood and you take the stats that Andrew just threw up here. And you go into a nice little neighborhood that has that little sweet spot of houses that y'all were talking about selling. And you say, hey, look, I'm not going to send you a deal. I'm not going to do the little drive-by. Hey, can I sell your house? You're doing it the wrong way. These are some things you should know. Instead, you say, hey, look, I wanted to go do a little neighborhood run, whatever. Go talk to the gardening club and say, I would like to share with y'all what's going on in y'all's neighborhood. And come in for 15 minutes and just give some data as to what's going on in their neighborhood at the local gardening club. You'd be amazed. If they don't list with you, somebody's going to be like, oh, I need to sell my house, and they'll remember who you are out of that little deal. Y'all, that's all it takes. And every one of y'all in this room has something that you're absolutely excellent at. There's a guy up in Canada I became buddies with. He explained cryptocurrency and blockchain to me. I don't know a damn thing about blockchain. But he said it's like Google Drives and Sheets. I was like, huh? He goes, yeah. You can be on the computer on Google Sheets. I can be on Google Sheets. And he said, when you get to see each other on the screen, it's connected and it's editing the same document at the same time. That's blockchain. And I was like, well, dang. So that conversation started. Next thing I know, I'm giving him money to invest in cryptocurrency, and I'm making money in cryptocurrency. Still don't know how it works, but at least he knows more than me, so I trust him. Y'all, this right here, if everybody did this once a month, you'd have 3 times as much money in your bank account next year as you do right this second, hands down. And it doesn't even cost that much. Anybody got questions on this? So, yes.
If you don't know what you're an expert in.
Great question. Tell you the easiest exercise I've ever done to figure out what my superpower is. I want you to email, call, or text. I like email because it gives people time to think, going back to the engaged thing. And I want you to reach out to 10 people, and I want you to say, hey, what's your first name again? Winston. Say, guys, ladies and gentlemen, our relationship over the years has been really incredible. I really appreciate it. I'm doing a project to see what my unique ability is, the stuff that really means a lot, that's real easy for me, but that I don't even really recognize. Some guru asked me to do this. Sincerely, Winston. And what you'll do, I did this with a group of clients of mine, and what they told me about me was that I always got the result, able to build very deep relationships extremely quickly. Like the stuff that they gave me seemed like what I do. I mean, it was just me and natural. Come to find out, though, it's my superpower. Am I we're about time up? Yep. Get out of here. So anyway, that's what I would do to find your superpower. In closing, I'm about to wrap it up. Anybody got any questions in closing? Y'all, I really appreciate your time. Andrew, Michelle, y'all, thanks for having me. Go follow me on Instagram. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vaughn.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, I want to tag on to this because he's absolutely right, and honestly, I've never even thought about encouraging you guys to do the same thing. Let me hold this real quick. Cameraman. I never even thought about encouraging you guys to do this, but it is incredible for realtors. The ones that do this and do it well is first-time home buyer, little seminar. They go to churches, neighborhood associations. You can go I'll give you those stats. If you're not an agent and you just want to get into this neighborhood and you're a wholesaler, take an agent with you. Rochelle will go with you and share the MLS stats and say, hey, this is what's going on out there if you're interested, or if you know anybody, you just go talk to them, engage. Don't go as a salesperson. Don't go in and say, here's my card. Go educate, and you will be surprised at the return you get. When you start building or giving to others without the expectation of anything in return, you will get more in return than you ever expected. Yeah, Jesse.
An idea for that I like is show them how to save for college if they have little kids.
Yeah.
And say, buy a rental property, put it on a 15-year mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, when your kid's 15 years, especially if you have 3-year-olds, 2 1-year-olds.
Yeah, or 3 of them.
Yeah, or 3 of them. Then you can show them, now look, you probably break even for this 15 years.
Yep.
You're gonna, with the high, but then you gotta pay for a house.
Yeah,
Right,
100%.
college,
Yeah, and guys, I can tell you right now, there's plenty of people, if you're not that expert, but you have a connection to get in, take somebody in this room with you. Because the two of you together, what it is, it's just building value, giving back to the community. You might get a sale out of it, or you might just get a whole heck of a lot of practice for the next time. All right, so I really love that. Guys, we started this networking event back at the hotel, at the Inn at USC. We were meeting at lunchtime because I had a full-time job and kids. So we met at lunch, and then that was from Bigger Pockets, and it just grew to where we were making connections, we were getting deals done. I'm telling you, there's at least a handful of you guys that we've done deals together. So it works when you get into a networking space, and you're not trying to sell people. Like this, it's not what it's about. We believe in hospitality, Southern hospitality around here. So I appreciate that. That was awesome give and leave for us. Guys, do you have any questions? Did anybody learn anything today? Did y'all learn something? Awesome. Any questions? Anything before Vaughn runs? All right, so hey, you all got a win. You all showed up today, and you've got to follow Vaughn and our YouTube channel. So you got some work to do. You got homework to do. Yeah.
Can you put Vaughn's contact information on the YouTube video for this?
Yes. We will get it to you to put in the notes. Okay, it'll be in the show notes. Cool. All right, y'all. Hey, appreciate you coming. You could stay here, network, get to know each other, find somebody new, and we'll see you next time. All right.